Morning, everyone. How you doing? Well, welcome to my living room on a Monday when I am not working. I am staying in my one corner. I'm minding my business, and then the messages roll in. Amma, have you seen? Amma, have you seen? So let's put the disclaimers in before we even attempt to do any of the discussions. The reason why people have tagged me into this video is because I am myself somebody who suffers from this medical condition. I have spoken about it for the last 4 or 5 years. The person had questions, but I did not originally intend to engage because of who it is in this story. I find that the people who are interested in these characters often don't have emotional regulation. They are either crazy loyal or they are against them with everything they have. And so it's difficult to cognitively engage. But you see, this is something that this person is doing, which is in line with what I did with my story. And so when somebody who knew my story has reached out to me, I have struggled to find justifications for not doing this. So let's go. You know, let's start with the disclaimer. So, I am a woman who has polycystic ovaries. I've known this in my early 20s. I have 2 children, and I am fighting all the ramifications of polycystic ovaries even today. Polycystic ovaries have many ramifications for a person who has them. But one of the key things that most people know about, the one that gives it the headlines, is always the infertility issues. So let's start from there. My mother struggled with infertility, had to aggressively fight to get even a kid. There is almost a decade of a gap between me and my little sister because of the same issues. Well, my mom has many issues. She herself, undiagnosed, I can diagnose my mom as polycystic ovaries any day. But also, my mom is O negative and chose to marry a guy who was O positive. So in their case, having children and the things that were fighting against having children, many. But also, as a kid, I remember a family member mentioning a very interesting thing. Obviously, their explanation is whack, but let me tell you, the person says, this family is weird, you know. The ones who go to school, the ones who get good jobs, they don't get children. The ones who don't go to school, the ones who are wayward, the ones who have children early, they continue to have children as if there is no issues in this life. And the person's explanation was obviously witchcraft. It must be the ones who did not want to work, who had sabotaged the childbearing of the successful ones, so that the successful ones could spend their money caring for their children. If you subscribe to that belief system, it's a plausible thing. But I remember even as a kid thinking, and to be honest, I started looking at my family dynamics. And it's true. Those who were successful did not have a lot of kids. Actually, some of the people who were successful had no kids whatsoever. My mother very nearly had no kids. Why, how, which, when, who? The reason is very simple when you understand polycystic ovaries. People who have polycystic ovarian syndrome are fertile in their early 20s, in their teens. If those people have children at that age, it's not a struggle. The closer you get to 30 and the further you get beyond 30, that's when your conditions would have had time to wreak havoc on your hormonal system, and so fertility is an issue. Now, after this conversation with this family member, always wanted to understand. My mom was very open about her fertility issues with me. And so even before I found a man, I went to the GPs in England and I said to the GPs that I have a fear of infertility. And I want to understand. At first, I didn't even know what the GPs could do for me. And I talked to the person I went to talk to, looked at me, narrowed her eyes, looked at me very carefully, and she said, look, we can run a few tests and we can confirm and then you can take it from there. So for me, fortunately, in my very early 20s, the tests were done, and yeah, it came up with no doubt that I was polycystic. She explained a lot of things to me, and obviously, I had gone in with a fertility inquiry, so she explained things to me in fertility. There are other aspects of this illness which will have to be done as a separate video because this issue at hand is a fertility issue. So when I got married, I run back to the hospital, to the GP, and I said to her, hey, I'm married. And she says, congrats. We better get started with childbearing. At the time, she was 40 and she was going through IVF, trying to have children. She had lost 2 marriages. This is a white woman. This is not from our community. You'd have expected these things from my community. No, this is a white Caucasian woman, doctor. She was early 40s at the time. And again, she was also very, very open, and she shared her struggles with me as a way to get me to understand what was to come and to make better choices because I was in a position to make better choices. If you know my children, you know my children are very close in age. When I had my son and I went for the 6-week physical, 6 weeks, I went to the hospital, I went to the GP practice. I went to the GP practice. She very quickly checked 1 or 2 things and made sure everything was okay. And then she sat in front of me, feet apart, hands hanging, looking me directly in the eye. And she says to me, girl, now that the door is open, if you want another kid, you better have it now. Because when this window of fertility closes, it will not reopen. When this window of fertility closes, it will not reopen. Okay? 6 weeks. And so, after a little bit of deliberation, I decided, we'll put pain, we'll put comfort, we'll put everything to one side. Because you see, I had also been a child who had been an only child for my mother for a long time. I had been an only child when everybody else had siblings, and I had been isolated on my own with nobody else. So I knew what that felt, and I did not want to do that with any of my kids. So clearly I wanted a sibling, and we got straight onto action. And yeah, she was bang on. It didn't take long. There is 18 months between 2 of my children. So that means conception would have happened around 9 months, when the first child was around 9 months. I fell pregnant again. I remember, again, going to a family gathering on my husband's side. And you know how people can gossip. I had had 2 children in 2 years. My husband and I owned our home. We worked. We didn't borrow a dime from anybody. But I remember the family members intentionally gossiping so I could hear. And 1 or 2 even having the nerve to come have a discussion with me about it. Hey, look at what they have done. 2 children in 2 years. What? Who? I was looking at these people laughing. You don't know. You have no clue. But anyway, there's no point in explaining to you. I can tell you, my youngest child is 18. I have had 2 pregnancies my entire life. 2 pregnancies. And both of those pregnancies resulted in my children. Where did those balloons come from? I don't know. I'm trying to understand some of these applications that I'm using to create content now. I don't know where that came from. Okay, fine, forget that one. 2 pregnancies, 2 children. And after that door closed, exactly as my doctor predicted, I have not missed a period. I have told you the story. The reason why I have been drawn into this conversation is because Nancy Umeh has gone and had a child via surrogacy. And obviously, a lot of people were asking her about why a person who has 2 children would choose to go and have a child through surrogacy. So she came and she explained and she made her declaration that she is polycystic ovarian as well. She's also struggling with polycystic ovaries. And so she is experiencing secondary infertility. So the person who contacted me says, Amma, is this even true? Is it plausible? So again, I am not Nancy Umeh's doctor. I haven't seen her ovaries. I couldn't tell you the details about her situation, but I can tell you that as a woman who had 2 children, I was infertile as soon as the second child was done. I have been infertile for a long time. Thankfully for me, I wasn't looking for another kid. I was only looking for 2 kids. So when the 2 kids were done, whatever happened past that point did not bother me. No, I have never tried to have IVF or any other interventions to have another kid because I did not want another kid. I had the 2 that I want. But yeah, to me, a woman who has had 2 children and she is in her 30s, I think she's in her mid-30s, isn't it? Once you cross 30, the infertility rears its head. So yeah, her age and a lot of things, and my understanding, my layman understanding of this is concordant. I am no medic. I cannot explain. I'm not an expert on polycystic ovaries. I'm just a woman who has suffered them, and I put my views out here. So Amma, could her story be true? To me, her story sounds very plausible. It is very plausible for you to have 2 children. It is plausible for the window of fertility to close. It is very plausible when you've gone past 30 to be infertile. And yeah, it might actually be impossible to have another child when you suffer this condition. It is very possible that she cannot have children, although she has biologically born 2 children. That's the first thing I want to say. 2, that she's chosen to do this via the surrogacy route. I think she's brave. And I think she's incredibly brave to come talk to those people from our community with our long mouth. Because clearly, Amma, are you sure the kid is hers? Even if she bought the kid, you know, when you buy something, it's yours. If you go and you adopt a kid, you have no biological relationship to that kid. The kid is yours. Legally, the kid is yours. And what matters is the legality, really. Yeah. If a kid is legally yours, a kid is yours. I've seen videos that she's put out of when her other kids were born. They look very identical to this kid. So I don't struggle to imagine that these are, she has made a few videos that people have sent to me. Yeah. A few people have sent me a few videos to make me aware of the fact that this kid may not even be hers. But I'm like, to me, when I look at the kids and her videos about storing her embryos, they sound concordant. They are very plausible to me. When you ask me to validate or verify an external person's story, somebody I have never spoken to, somebody I don't know, it makes me laugh. How on earth am I going to be the authority who confirms or denies a story for you? But I can tell you from my experiences. Like I said, when you look at the children's videos or pictures, it was on a video, but I think they were pictures. The pictures of her current baby and the other ones before this one, they have a lot of resemblance. So I don't struggle to imagine that the baby was from their embryo. Amma, how is Nancy breastfeeding? That one I don't know. I have only breastfed children after a period of gestation. Again, I am not an expert. In my simple mind, I don't know how a person who has not gone through gestation can lactate. But I also understand that there are hormones that you can be put through. So maybe she went through hormone therapy, which allows her to breastfeed. I don't know. Okay, what I can suggest, I will tell you openly. What I have no way of knowing, I am also very happy to accept and to declare openly, I have no way of knowing. I'm a Manson. So yeah, polycystic ovarian syndrome is real. It brings fertility issues for sure. If it runs in your family, this is my advice to you. And this is what I'm saying to my daughter. I'm telling my daughter, as was done for me by my mother. My mother was a blessing unto me. She told me her fertility issues, which is what triggered me to go and explore my issues and discover what could have been my fertility issues too. But I was able to avoid fertility issues because I knew information in time. And I was able to make decisions before my window of opportunity closed. About 10 years ago, I went to see a doctor, not because I wanted a kid, but because I know that this is a standing condition. It was going to lead me onto insulin resistance, and ultimately to type 2 diabetes. It will expose me to all sorts of funny things which are hormone driven. Yeah, my cholesterol levels, I had hyperlipidemia maybe 10, 12 years ago. But when my medical conditions had started rearing and I went to find consultants who could explain to me, it kept coming back to my polycystic ovaries. It kept coming back to my polycystic ovaries. And I went to see an obs gynae as part of the treatment plan. And the person did a scan and says my ovarian output was 0%. I had gone into premature menopause. Yeah, I had gone into premature menopause 10 years ago. Crazy. Crazy. That age was not one you would even bring anywhere close to men or anything. But I had definitely gone over a year with no show, nothing, not even a spot, not a spit, nothing, not a drop. And so the doctor, the treating physician, sent me to go and see this obs gynae specialist. The person runs a few tests and she comes back to me and she shakes her head. She asked me, do you have children? I said, yes. Phew, thank God. Do you have all the children you'd ever want? Yes. Oh, phew, thank God. Because then I can have a frank conversation with you. And I'm like, let's have frank conversations. Girl, your ovarian output is 0. 0. And at the time, I said to her, oh, okay, don't care. And she says, no, you do care. You do care because, you see, I was thinking only of fertility. And from the fertility standpoint, what do I need ovarian output for? No, but you do need ovarian output because a lot of the other hormones which run a lot of vital systems require estrogen and the balance with progesterone and a few of these things in order to create the environment for your body to optimally exist. I'm like, huh? So we will need to go and try this, that, and that, and see if it doesn't work. Ultimately, we'll have to go through hormone replacement therapy in order to get your systems back. Obviously, for me, luckily, I discovered Juice Plus. You want to go and check the products out, go to amamanson.juiceplus.com. And I discovered their Omega blend with their premium capsules. I took those, and to God be the glory, since 2019, my systems have been taken along just fine. In the last 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, I have been a bit careless in my supplementation. And as soon as I was careless, because I had been steady for so long, I was getting complacent. So I got careless and I thought, oh, let's see if it's been reversed. No, it has not. After 6 to 8 weeks of not maintaining my supplementation, my systems have thrown me flash after hot flash after all sorts of crazy things. And now that this started, I remember that before the whole menopause thing started, I had maybe 2 period episodes where it continuously flew for 3 weeks. And I was beginning to wonder. Recently, I had one of those scares yet again. So now I'm back to supplementation. Supplementing like my life depends on it, because it does depend on it. We will talk about all these other things. But anyway, polycystic ovarian syndrome is not a joke. It has many serious ramifications, including fertility. I can imagine that a person like Nancy, who has had 2 children, can still be infertile because it is linked with age and it is linked with certain demographics. Yes, Nancy is blessed that she is not putting on weight and getting fat like the rest of us did. But I saw a video of hers yesterday where she said she was beginning to get fat, and people who have this condition yo-yo in weight. You yo-yo in weight and it can spiral out of control and you have to get interventions. Yeah, those of you who ask me, Emma, I have declared everything I do here openly. Yes, I am under strict regimentation, strict interventions. Yeah, and it is holistic interventions from in and throughout. And actually, recently, I went to see the other obs gynae. And the treating physician had asked me to go see her because I am not sleeping. I'm not sleeping well. And yeah, insomnia is linked. It has run in my family. My grandmother was an insomniac. My mother is an insomniac. I am an insomniac. And it turns out that the stupid insomnia is also linked with this hormone imbalance that I have. And so the doctor was saying to me, if you approach fatigue, because I can get really fatigued, and there's nothing I can do. I have spent the last few weeks sleeping like a little whale, and that's why I am beginning to balance and check. But if I don't do that, at night itself, I can't sleep. So in the afternoon, you've got to sleep whenever you get a chance to do so. Since I have had the good sense to do that, the fatigue is reduced. But yeah, the doctor says if the insomnia does not get under control, because putting me on any of the other things, that the sleeping tablets that make everybody, it doesn't work. Sleeping tablets don't work. There was once where my treating physician sent me to the Narcotics Control Board to go and get a particular sleeping tablet in this country. It was almost like going to buy narcotics. Well, it was from the Narcotics Control Unit to go and get this prescription that he had given. And oh Lord, the security protocols to get it to me. And I came home after all that drama, expected to take this stupid medication, and I wanted to knock me out and sleep. I put the bloody medication on and nothing. Not a wink. If anything, I was more awake that night. The doctor says, don't worry, continue to take it for a week. I was more awake after a week. And then I got really frustrated after 2 weeks, and we discovered it's not going to work. No, sleeping tablets don't work. And so to try and find a solution for me that works, he brought back hormone replacement therapy. And this is one of the points I want to raise with you. If you have polycystic ovaries, you better go talk to your medics. You better go and get a deep understanding of what is to come. You better make your legs very frequent to your physician's office. And you better find a specialist who knows what they are doing to help you, because you are on one heck of a roller coaster. Whether you have fertility issues and you care about it or not, this is a condition you want to care about from many, many dimensions. Believe me. Okay, so back to the story. Can Nancy Umeh be infertile? Yeah, she can. Even after bearing 2 children, yes. She's told you the name of the condition, and with what I know of the condition, this sounds plausible. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Can I verify? No, I cannot verify, because I cannot verify information that I don't have. But yeah, I'm engaging in this conversation because I want to bring the fertility issues that this stupid condition can bring for a lot of you. And I'm asking you, especially with your ambitious young women who are likely to delay childbirth to their 30s, to at least go and get checked for this medical condition. Go and check. If you don't have the problem, that is something to remove off your list of worries, and then you can go on and live your life. There are many West African women who have this issue, like predisposal to diabetes. I think a lot of people who did the research early said that you were an Afro-Caribbean woman, you were a certain fraction more likely to be predisposed to breast cancer, to be predisposed to diabetes. I think a lot of those things are actually linked with this stupid condition. Many of us have got polycystic ovaries, and many of us with polycystic ovaries have many allied medical conditions that will rear their ugly heads as we go along. It is better that you know in advance, and it's better that you preempt to prevent some of those things, because thankfully, luckily, it is possible to preempt to prevent, especially with good, healthy lifestyles and effective supplementation. Yeah? Okay. I expect that this video may be 2 or 3 parts, because it just happens to be. I'll put it here. I'll let you guys share your thoughts. If you have any further questions, put it on and I'll answer as much as I can. But I anticipate the second part will be the medical conditions, the allied medical conditions that are associated with this PCOS. I'm going to go find some of my sisters who are also Trojans fighting this stupid condition, and I'll see how many of them are willing to talk, and we'll come and share some of those situations with you, because I think it might save some of the younger ones. But tag every young woman you know and tell them that there are very simple tests that you can do which can let you know the state. For some people, I think Nancy says she saw an ultrasound of her ovaries. I didn't see an ultrasound of my ovary. It was a blood test. It was a series of tests that the doctor did. And she came back and told me. So I don't know how your treating physicians will diagnose. Go see them. They will tell you what they need to diagnose and they can check for you. Maybe put your mind at ease. And if unfortunately you are in with us, at least you know. And you might be able to do what I did. Make early decisions that allow you to have children and not delay and cry. I'll see you soon.